Good morning, everyone. We in Bay Area apparently don't know how to drive when it's raining, so I apologize for being a few minutes late here. Uh, Thank you for joining me this morning. Let me find this seat for a second. Great. So I wanted to share a little bit about my background and how I came to be in terms of running a fashion platform, a social commerce platform, and then share a little bit of how we sort of evolved it, how we built it, and how we've scaled it. All in 20 minutes, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A as we get past that. So my background is I've been in Silicon Valley for a little over 30 years. I have both a computer science and a business background. I spent first 15 or so years in enterprise software. I was working for companies like Intel and Sybase, and those were companies that were building very world-class sort of database software platforms. And about 15 years or so back, my wife and I were remodeling our home, and from there, the idea of social shopping and sort of the whole notion of collaboration around shopping evolved. And I created my first company, which was called Kaboodle, which resembled more Pinterest than Poshmark, but it had some of the core social principles. And that was created in '04, '05. And it got acquired by Hearst in 2007 and ultimately grew to be a very active community of a little over 2 million people. Again, primarily women, but with some men as well, focused on fashion. And we pivoted from home to fashion early in that journey. So I was wrapping up my time with Hearst in 2009. The idea for Poshmark was first born, which was to translate some of the principles of Kaboodle, which was social, sort of magazine-like experience, but enable people to buy and sell and not just sort of leave it as more a media platform. However, in 2009, the technology was not ready. Zoom forward to 2010, is a little device that I think we all sort of use called the mobile phone. And I think at that time it was called iPhone 4, which was a small device but with very good camera and high resolution screen. That device could probably be equal to two of those in a single iPhone now, as much as our screens have grown over the last sort of 7 or 8 years. But at that time, that device, as it came out, gave me the epiphany that this could potentially be the right platform to create a shopping engine on. It was pretty contrarian at that point in time because a lot of people didn't believe that people would really use that for shopping. They thought that would be a great selling platform and maybe a photo taking platform. The second belief that we had was that we wanted to enable everyone to sell. And everyone obviously naturally loves to shop. And our hope was that we could democratize selling. And by doing that, we wanted to bring in both a massive level of inventory on the platform, but also massive levels of curation and engagement. And the third belief we had was that really to scale fashion, not only did you need massive amounts of inventory, but you also needed massive number of points of views, which means you needed social curation to sort of thrive that. And that, if you think of each of those three beliefs, one was buying and selling on phone, second was sort of massive enablement of selling, and third was really using social curation as the path to commerce and shopping and closing. They were all three flowing against some grain of wisdom at that point in time. And if I were to go back and sort of go back to '04, '05, if I was challenging every single notion, it would have been very hard to get financing at that point in time. But with a little bit of success under my belt, I was able to round out the first round of financing on one side. Second thing, I had some of my core team from Kaboodle that joined me in the Poshmark journey. But the one piece that I did not have was I wanted to really recruit someone who understood fashion from grounds up. And so I ended up meeting several people intentionally and found my co founder, Tracy, who joined me, who grew up in the fashion scene. So Gautam and Chetan were with me at Kaboodle, and they took over the technology side. Tracy took over the fashion side. And there was another person who was part of the team at Kaboodle who I saw the potential to help develop community, and that was Leanne. And the five of us really started this journey on Poshmark. What's happened today is that the social curation paradigm really powers Poshmark. Today, we have 18 million listings that people share on a daily basis, which drives people to engage and spend somewhere between 23 and 27 minutes a day in the platform. And our average user opens the app 7 to 9 times. So when you combine these pieces, what you see is deeply engaged users. We also have 5 million sellers on the platform, and roughly that, if not slightly more, buyers on the platform. So we have a good balance of buying and selling on the platform. And the sellers and buyers both continue to grow on the platform, which is something you don't see in marketplaces. A lot of times you see sellers growing in the early phases, but 5, 6 years down, seller growth stalls and buyer growth continues on. So we continue to see both sides of the marketplace very, very active today. And still 70+% of our engagement happens through the mobile platform, even though now we have a very thriving website as well. And ultimately, what we believe we've created is a new kind of shopping experience where social powers commerce. And to do that, we had to make selling simple, which means we have created an experience where, as a new seller, you can come and start to sell as quickly as sellers who are now generating hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue a month on the platform. And that social curation turned out to be an amazing paradigm for making selling democratic. We also created a simple shipping system where you can really sell anything you want and ship it in a single shipping label. And then by bringing the power of photo taking and sort of listing to the phone, it enables sort of mass listing on the platform. The result is today we have items that are $10 or $20 that sell. So, any piece of clothing you might be wearing could actually be available for sale on Poshmark. And then we have very high-end items, so $3, $4, $5,000 luxury bags, $5 or $6,000 watches that also sell on the platform. So really, we brought in both the point of views where you have luxury shopping, but also everyday shopping enabled by the platform. The third dimension is that many of our seller stylists have grown up and started to create their own fashion brands on the platform. So we have native brands that are being created that are very local to Poshmark. Over 100, 150 of them have been created. We also created a wholesale market that enables other seller stylists to get access to these brands. And so what you have is almost an alternative eco-fashion system that started from the original vision of empowerment and really putting selling in the hands of the masses and creating a selling platform that can be accessed by literally everyone within US. And today we are just in the US. We will be opening up our first country outside US this year, as we've announced, and that'll be Canada. The other sort of dimension that I want to talk about is building a team as you're building a company. And this is something that sometimes when we are very caught up in the idea, we don't spend as much time doing it. And at Poshmark, because of my journey with Kaboodle, a large chunk of the team was easier to create because of the partnerships I had in the 5, 6 year journey of Kaboodle. But then there are new people we wanted to bring in who brought in different elements like mobile app development, fashion background, and those took some time to piece together. But if you put the right team together and the right team sticks together and you sort of support each other through the growth, then over the end, you end up creating a very large platform. And one of the things that is something that I'm particularly proud of is that all of the people who joined us in 11, 12, and even 13 are still all here with the company. And they're still all thriving. And many of them actually have worked in Kaboodle in my previous company for 5 or 6 years. So we've been together for 10, 12 years. And then some of them have even worked with me prior to that. So they're there for 15 years. And at the same time, we continue to add new executives. We've added 3 senior executives just in the last year. So you have to continue to bridge the people that you've built the company with and then build new talent as it goes along. And integrating those two, the new and old point of view, is very, very important because the foundation is created by the team that built together, but the way it prospers and thrives is by bringing new ideas. So the importance of team and how you sort of nurture that and grow that together is very, very important. Now, each person in the team is going to be slightly different. And that is really both the strength and the weakness of the team. The strength in the sense that if you can really integrate those different point of views and embrace each other's, as we call, weirdness, you can build a very powerful company. However, the weakness is if you try to normalize everyone and try to bring everyone to the same level, then you'll create a very weak team. And over time, that team will disintegrate. So by sort of embracing each other's strengths, but also recognizing that everyone is not good at everything, you can build a much stronger sort of culture. And that's what we've done. If you look at the different people and sort of the different backgrounds we bring to the company, that has been very pivotal in growing the company from a variety of different point of views, which is having the right empathy with our customer, having a very strong technology foundation. But then, for example, John, who joined us from eBay, who's our chief operating officer today, brings in the kind of discipline that's needed to scale a very large marketplace where you have to safeguard it against fraud, against all kinds of sort of operational risks that come in the business, and also bring a very smooth running shipping, transportation, payments machine that's required to scale a very large marketplace. Principles of Poshmark is really about embracing our weirdness. What does that mean? It really means that we need to first accept who we are. And as we accept who we are, we end up really accepting the people around us. And if we accept the people around us, we build a very, very strong culture, which means we don't normalize to the median. We sort of actually play on each other's strengths. But it's also a company paradigm. There are so many things we are challenging. And as the journey goes on and you have to look for new areas of growth and new ideas come in, it's so easy to lose the core that you have. Having said that, it doesn't mean being rigid in your ideals. You have to have an adaptable mindset. You have to be able to look at what's happening in the market, what your customers are telling you, what your data is telling you, and adapt. So please don't confuse embracing your weirdness and being true to yourself with not having an adaptable mindset. We've made many changes to the business. We've made many improvements. I certainly have evolved. If you think of a guy who was doing enterprise software to helping now men and women sell shoes, it's certainly been a journey of adaptable mindset. But through that, it's been more and more also about accepting who you are and playing to your strengths. So that's something that we truly believe in, and it's something that we celebrate every single day at Poshmark, whether it is in the kind of benefits we offer, the activities we do, but also in our community where we celebrate different point of views and different kinds of lifestyle elements that people bring to the table. The second thing that is very, very core to success is following your passion. If you follow just the money, you will start to build something that is not really core and germane to what you're doing. So for example, at Poshmark, if you just come in and you just want to sell something and you want to sell more of it and make money, you're likely to fail. And in fact, we've had sellers come from other platforms who've been disappointed that the same techniques that they used in other platforms don't work. On the flip side, if you come in and you really focus on sharing, on curation, on loving and sort of integrating with the community, you build a sustainable, everlasting business where you'll keep growing every year. And more importantly, you earn long-term loyalty of your customers. And so when you lead with love, when you lead with sort of focus on sharing and caring, you ultimately bring in a lot of money. You become sort of successful, but that love ends up creating the foundation. How is it manifested in our product? So for Poshmark, when you're looking at any kind of inventory, let's say you're looking for pants, or you're looking for a fashion brand, or you're looking for any kind of beauty products on the platform, the default order in which the products are shown after being relevant is actually dictated by how frequently and how recently the item has been curated by the community. What does that mean? That as you're curating these items are then prioritized based on that curation. Now, you can curate your own items, in which case you're just promoting your own items, which is fine. They will get to the top of the queue, but the only people who will see them are your followers. However, if you share other people's items and then they in turn share your items, what you're going to find is that that mutual caring will ultimately lead to a better outcome across the platform, and you will grow. So by sharing each other's items, you actually create a much more vibrant business for yourself, but also for themselves. We're probably the only marketplace where each seller is spending almost half their time in promoting listings from other sellers. I don't think there's any other marketplace where every active seller is doing that. And that's really all about communication, collaboration, and community that's created by love. With that, let me sort of just summarize the few things I talked about. We've built a social commerce platform, which is really all about creating a marketplace based on social principles. We did that by creating a community and building features, culture, and technology that supported that development of the community at the very base. At the same time, the monetization is very simple. We take a very simple partnership with our sellers and take a simple cut of the revenue. We haven't changed that in 7 years. So there is monetization, there is money, but it was there from day one. It's almost a byproduct of focusing on curation and selling. And by keeping the marketplace democratic, we created a very thriving community that continues to scale till today. And ultimately, having a mindset of service keeps the company grounded and focused. Thank you.